In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at repetitive severe weather, major coastal storms, and some snowfall. Let's dive into things, and as we take a look at this upcoming evening, we do have snow showers going on across the Northeast, and this includes states like New York and some of the surrounding New England states there, as we do have a 997 millibar low pressure center really close by. Currently, the jet stream is looking like this. We have a ridge setting up for the west, and this is causing a lot of our cold air to head eastward, and that's why this snowfall is able to occur. Let's keep going. I want to take us to tomorrow afternoon, where things get a little bit more interesting. We have a heavier snowfall event here for the northern Rockies in through the northern plains that is certainly going to cause quite a bit of snowfall. To the south for Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and in through New Mexico, we have thunderstorm activity rolling through as we see warmth and humidity surging in from the Gulf of Mexico. Let's keep going towards Friday here on March 22nd. And what we see as a low is trying to form along this, but we still have this really large area of thunderstorms and potential severe weather across Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Florida. So a very wide area. Heavier snowfall for cities like Chicago, Milwaukee, Detroit in there as well. We're seeing quite a bit of this for southern Wisconsin, the lower peninsula of Michigan, and very far northern Illinois. I would say maybe even only the northern half of Chicago they're seeing snowfall at that point. We see that all of this activity kind of comes together along the East Coast, and this is going to cause major rainfall and major winds here for the coast. And really, it's going to extend all the way up the East Coast here, where for areas seeing rainfall, we could see 2 or even 3 or more inches of rainfall with 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts. Going to be a doozy for sure along the East Coast. And that's not the only coast seeing activity. As we look out west, we see more major systems, 1002, 996 here, causing rainfall and snowfall respectively depending on your elevation. Again, that's Saturday the 23rd. By Sunday on the 24th here, what we see is a lot of activity out west, mostly snowfall for the northern plains and upper Midwest here and across the Rockies, a little less surprising there. And then for the coasts and for the plains, we see mostly rainfall. This is a 983 millibar low pressure center, and I do anticipate severe weather out ahead of it for this area. Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, potentially Nebraska, Iowa, and Missouri as well. As we just move on a couple of hours towards that evening, Sunday into Monday, the 24th into the 25th, we see things explode here on the southern boundary for Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas there. Certainly could be a major severe weather event, as we do have a 986 millibar low pressure center over Kansas. As we keep going towards that afternoon, we see things worsen here as we see major storms across Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, Tennessee, and Mississippi. Certainly this low is extremely strong, causing heavier snowfall for some of the upper Midwest and northern plains. And then on this cold front boundary, a lot of severe weather potential in there, especially when you consider how much cold we have, how much warmth we have surging, and then how strong that low is going to be. I consider this to be a pretty strong threat for severe weather. By the time we reach Tuesday afternoon on the 26th, we see these thunderstorms extend eastward for the Gulf states up through the Ohio Valley. And even further as we head towards Wednesday, this could be heading towards kind of your Appalachian area, maybe even areas of the Gulf Coast. So down by Alabama and Georgia, and then up kind of this Appalachian mountain range, we're seeing those thunderstorms prevail. And they will eventually reach the coast here as a low tries to form along it. We will see this thunderstorm and showery activity reach the eastern seaboard by early on Friday the 29th. Meanwhile, we have another strong low developing over Kansas, 985, causing snowfall to the north and the west. Look familiar? Let's see if we get that kind of severe weather component with it. And we don't really get it in any major way. Potentially some thunderstorms underneath. I think that this has a lot of potential if we do see a low in the 980s or 990s over Kansas to maybe cause a little bit more impacts than what this is showing. But certainly more activity on the way, more potential, and overall more severe weather and thunderstorms ahead of us than behind us. As we take a look here at the GFS model, we're going to do a little cross comparison here. We see this major southeast storm. This low is a little bit further inland as a 999 over southeastern Virginia. Again, expecting 2 or 3 inches, potentially more for these areas. Definitely a doozy. Also 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts, although I will say that likely if it's inland like this, it'll have a little bit less wind than if it was to be offshore like the European model showed. So definitely a little bit of differences there depending on what ends up happening, but nevertheless impactful. And then we see our next storm system, and it looks identical to what the European model had to say. Very strong signals of severe weather out to the east of this system, where we will be watching for wind, hail, and potentially tornadoes. As we see that one move out, we see a coastal low set up for the southeast here. This is as we're approaching kind of the Thursday-Friday time frame. So we see these areas being impacted by a coastal low. We also see a stronger low pressure system out west, 986 millibar low pressure center over Nebraska. Let's see if it develops severe weather on this particular model. And it does a little bit more. I think that this one looks a little bit more amped on the severe weather front. We have this kind of whole Boeing area of potential severe weather for Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, Kentucky, and Tennessee there. Still not as kind of widespread as that previous storm. We do see, however, that we get another 985 over the Nebraska, Kansas area. And this one features a strong cold front, warm front look. And this would bring potential severe weather again in this cold front corridor for the Central Plains. Definitely something to watch for early April. And then we get another strong low, 995 over Wisconsin there with that same cold front look. So we could be looking at another thunderstorm / severe weather event. So again, an overwhelming amount of these severe weather events over the next 10 to 15 days. It is going to be extremely active, especially considering that we're usually not picking up this much severe weather yet until later on in April into May. So we're seeing a highly above average active beginning to the springtime here, and kind of the end of calendar winter at least too, as we just entered into the calendar springtime. Although I will say meteorological spring starts on March 1st, and that's kind of around when we saw this severe weather begin. So definitely been an active March here. Looks to potentially be an active April as well, which should put us in a strong condition to enter into one of the more active severe weather seasons, or at least on the above average side of things once it's all said and done. As we take a look at the total precipitation, no surprise that we see a whole lot for the Northwest, a whole lot for the Northern Rockies and Northern Plains, and then also a whole lot here for the Gulf and East Coasts there. So plenty of activity, and I'd say more than half the nation is in this kind of above average precipitation category. So super active over the next 10 days. Your total snowfall is looking pretty extreme. The Rockies have been about this much snowfall for a while now, but it's really these northern plains and upper Midwest areas that are very extreme, in the 1 to maybe even 3 feet range as far as snowfall, depending on your color there. Definitely a whole lot. The Great Lakes and some of the Ohio Valley do see quite a bit. And then for northern New England, we're seeing again 1 to 2, maybe even 3 feet there, so a whole lot of snowfall. Your overall temperature pattern is going to be all over the place. We see a big cool down with warm out west. That warmth wants to spread eastward by the time we're taking a look at early next week. While a cold front is already pushing through, we get another surge of warmth with that cold air behind it. And then we get another surge of warmth with that cold air behind it. So the trend is colder in the west and warmer in the east, but we're going to repetitively be seeing these cold fronts come through, and then the warm air returns. So it's going to be a roller coaster of a temperature pattern, and that is going to help to spike the upcoming activity in the springtime pattern that we have ahead. Anyway, that's it for this video, guys. Be sure to subscribe for more daily weather videos just like this one. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.